Hi, welcome back to my blog. My name's Shelley. This is my channel, The Willow Tree Green. I thought I would come on today and talk about the course that I went on at the weekend. It was a day course from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. with Yi Crafts in London, up in Neasden. I'd highly recommend, if you're in the London area, to give them a look. I will link the details below so that you can go and check them out. I did a Shibori Stitch Resist workshop with an old friend of mine, and it was the best day ever. I honestly thought 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. was going to be such a long time, but it was 10 to 5 and I was rushing to finish. But I had been a little bit, what's the word? I had definitely gone overboard with my design at the end of the day. So what she got you to do, I'll put some pictures up as I talk about it. So initially she gave us a square of fabric or an oblong of fabric that she had drawn some shapes on, lines, semicircles, circles, that kind of thing. And then she taught us how to do the various stitches. So you've got, there's a straight stitch. I can't remember the name of that one. There was a straight stitch that had semicircles on it, which you folded in half and it created circles. There's one that's called horse's teeth, which is double folded. Then you've got the circle, which you gather up and wrap. And then you've got these other ones called butterflies, which looked great. She was actually wearing a dress, much like this here, which had these butterflies all over it. Now, having done this myself a few times, I can tell you they're fiddly, and picking them at the end was the biggest challenge of the day. So the end result of the tester piece, once we've dipped it into the indigo dye, so you don't actually leave it sitting in the dye, you dip it and then you pull it out and let it oxidize, which I didn't know was a thing. So it starts off green and then it turns blue, and then once it's oxidized you re-dip it, and you can do that process, take it out, let it oxidize, re-dip it until you get the shade that you want. I only did it 3 times, and this is the shade that I ended up with my various stitches. And if you look closely, you can see the stitch holes and the texture, which actually I love. Obviously once you've washed it a few times, those do go away, but I actually really like it as it is. So those are the butterflies, and that's my circle that I had wrapped. So the dress that she was wearing was, as I say, it was very much like this, and it was this color originally. She was saying that as it's a natural dye, the more you wash it, the lighter color. So her dress actually had changed from that color to more like that color, which was really interesting as well. So yeah, so that was our tester to learn the different stitches, and then we were given a larger piece and told to make our own design up. She had been showing us some samples. I'll put up a picture of a few that I didn't take very good pictures. I was much too engrossed in what we were doing to be a good vlogger, so I didn't really take as many pictures as I wish I had. And sorry, someone came downstairs. And we were given the opportunity to create our own design. It was a very small class, so we were quite lucky to have a lot of attention from the teacher. And one of the samples that she showed us was quite a complicated design that had a border around it, and it had leaves, and it was a tree, and I loved it. It was definitely a challenging one. My colleague stayed simple. She did a vase with flowers in, so she used these circles as the flower heads, and she had the line, like that sort of line, then joining it up, and then a vase across the bottom. It looked lovely. I decided to go a little bit overboard because I'm an overachiever. And I did a border using this technique where you fold the fabric basically like that, and then you stitch along there, and then when you unfold it, it creates the semicircles. So I decided to do that and then basically replicate the tree one that I had seen. So here's my design. I'll put a picture up, obviously. So we've got, it's a square of linen. It works best on natural fibers because it's a natural dye. So that is my design. So I've got the border all the way around of those semicircles, and I tried to do some curvy leaves, and then this I deliberately separated down here to try to create a sort of trunk, and then obviously I've got some of the butterflies in there as well that I did. When you stitch it all together, you then have to collapse it into a smaller piece. So I'll put a picture up of what this looked like once it had all been sucked in, as it were. So when you stitch it, you don't pull it so it stays flat, because if you tried to pull it while you're doing it, it would just become impossible. So after I pulled it all together, it was very, very compressed, and then you soak it in some water for like 10 minutes or less, and then you take it out and then you dip it into the indigo dye. Mine had sort of gone square and it had little ears, so it could look kind of funny at one point. I'm so happy with how it came out though. I just think it looks fabulous. The leaves, I tried a couple of different techniques as I was doing it. Initially, I think, I'm trying to find which one. On one of them, I think it might have been this one, I did the sort of the circle process where you put the stitches around and then you pull it up. And then on others, so like on some of them, what I did is I folded it in half, then I stitched just the semicircle and then undid it, so you can sort of see the center crease there where I did that. And then I think on one of them, I've got a hole there. This is the danger of when you're unpicking. And then on this one up here, I sort of folded it in half so it came out slightly thicker. And so I was playing around with the different techniques. And the butterflies, I'm going to try and put some demonstrations of how you do these to get the sort of the antenna there when you're putting it together. But it's all basically about how far apart you put your holding stitches. But I think they came out fantastic. So yes, so I'm very, very happy with how that turned out, and it was a really good day. I really enjoyed it, so absolutely recommend. Just another up close, you can see my hole that I've put in there by accident. So yeah, so very happy. So what I've got at home, when I was there, so they give you the needle that you use, so it's quite a hefty needle that you'll be using for it, and the thread, it was thicker than normal thread, thicker than embroidery thread. So she mentioned if you were using embroidery thread, you'd need at least 2 strands. What I've got at home is this string that I'm going to give it a go. But I did also, while I was there, buy a kit, but this is actually for Shasiko, not Shibori. So I've got a Shasiko kit, and that's the sort of thing. And looking at these two, they're very similar. So I think it would work. Excuse the glare from my window there. So yeah, so all in all, I was very, very happy. So what I'm going to try and do now, if you can stand looking at my fingernails, I did have a accident on this one, because when you're unpicking, it's so fine and so close. It was literally, I was sweating trying to unpick this, and I did actually break my thumbnail, even though I had cut them all down very, very low. I actually broke this one, so I've just tried to repair the paint before I decide to take it all off. I knew that was going to happen. We had gloves and things, so we didn't dye our hands, but even so, my gloves did break a little bit, and it's not showing now, but I had some blue on my fingers. So yeah, so what I'm going to try and do is I will turn my camera around, point it down where I've got a old piece of cotton sheet that I've drawn some lines on, and I'm going to show how I did a couple of these techniques. I decided to give it another quick go, getting some of the jeans thread that I bought a while ago out, just to try. So I've also found this new, apparently it's called a quilting knot, but I didn't know that it existed, where you put the thread over the top like this, and then you take the back thread and you wrap it around a few times, and then you can pull it through and it magically creates a knot at the end. I was absolutely astounded by this. So I'm just going to pull my cotton, which is probably going to make the camera do weird things. So anyway, you can see all these holes, which is where I was trying to create a butterfly using the thicker like I think this is actually macrame thread. So anyway, so I'm going to try again, but using 2 strings of this. Now to create a butterfly, what you do is you put a dot, so there is a little red dot there where those 3 holes are. I'm going to do it somewhere else though, and pretend there's a dot. So I'm going to take my dot, so say the dot is right there in the center, and then you fold it in half like that, and then you fold it in half again, and you kind of create a triangle. So this is the sort of tricky bit. So you create this triangle like that, and then you fold the top of the triangle over, and then you take your thread and you stab through the bottom part of that triangle through to all layers, through to the other side, just like that. And then what you do is you pull your thread over the top and you go back through that same hole, and then I'm going to angle it so that it comes out a little bit further away on the other side, and this is going to create those antennae, and then all the folded fabric in between is going to create the butterfly's wings. So I'm just getting, my thread is a bit messed up, so I'm just trying to get that over, and then I'm going to pull it tight. And again, as you're doing the butterfly, this one you do want to pull tight, unlike the other ones, because you know it's a small piece, and then you go back into the same spot and back through all layers, just like that, and create the other side. So you want to try and keep those 2 separated so it creates those antennae, and then pull it tight, and then that, when it's unfolded, creates the butterfly, just like that. Let's see if I can find one of my decent ones. So you can actually, this one I ended up putting holes in because when you're unpicking it with the knots, you have to cut through the knots, so you've got to be really careful. So if I look at it on my final piece, just get it the right way around. So this one, these 2 worked out just great, but you can see on this one, you can see where the holes where I folded it. So it was basically, again, it was just folded like that, and then perhaps not that way, it would have been this way around. In fact, it would have been this way around. What am I talking about? So you can see where it's folded, so it would have been folded like that, and then folded like that, and then flipped over in some way. How was it done? I'm trying to remember now. Anyway, that's what it would end up. So once you've got to this point, what you then need to do is just take it back through, so you can go back over. Just don't want to create 3 antennae, or you can knot it, just push it through again in a different place and create a knot on the other side, in whatever fashion you normally do that. We were using scraps of fabric as well. So on the picture of my piece, after it had all been pulled together and it had been soaked, you can see the little squares of different coloured fabric, and they were just put on the you sort of threaded them through onto your thread so that you could easily locate your knots, but it also stopped the knots from pulling through. So obviously when you're tugging really tightly, there's a risk of your knots going through the fabric. So that's how you do that one. So I just attempted to show you how to do a little bit of the shibori, but I don't have the correct things at home, so I was just trying with what I had, and it's a bit difficult, so I've kind of given up on it. But basically, as you fold over the fabric where you've drawn the design on, you will sew through in a running stitch through the design. I pulled it together already, as you might see in the video. And then when you've got the full row, what you do is making sure that you've knotted the end, is that you pull it tight like this. Make sure it's not twisted, because one of the lines on my tree didn't come out very well because it wasn't twisted. And then when it's all bunched up like this, you knot the other end, keep it tight, and then once your whole fabric piece is then condensed like this, as mine was, then you can dip it into the indigo dye and get your design. So if I show you the line on my tree that didn't come out very well, that one there, that was because as I was, you can see my stitches still, and you can see sort of a ghost of where it's darker. But because I didn't check that it wasn't twisted, like on the other branches, it didn't stop the dye going through as much, so it's not gone through as strongly. But anyway, so I thought I would share that with you. It was like I say, a fantastic day. I really enjoyed it. I can't get over how much I love that texture on the fabric. Just looks fantastic. So in my future, I can definitely see a few more of these. I'm already looking on Amazon to buy a proper kit and get the proper indigo and think about what I can do. And I also have this, try and get rid of the glare, this Chassico kit to give it a go, because I keep seeing people's mended denim, and I've got a couple of denim jackets I quite like the idea of doing this sort of thing on. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, I hope this little vlog was interesting, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. So thanks. See you soon. Bye.